The sun stood high and unforgiving over the cracked pavement, pouring light onto a small strip mall that looked like it had been forgotten by time when a single moment changed everything. A woman stood near the back entrance of a diner, her hands trembling not from weakness but from hunger she had learned to ignore for the sake of her children, and she had no idea that by the end of that bright afternoon the world would witness both its cruelty and its unexpected mercy. What began as a quiet plea for leftover food would ripple outward into a storm of shame, courage, and redemption that no one present would ever forget. Before the story continues, if you believe in kindness, second chances, and the power of humanity to stand up against cruelty, please take a moment to like this video, share it with others, leave a comment, and subscribe to the channel Light of Kindness. Your support helps stories like this reach hearts that need them. Her name was Maribel Cruz, and she had once lived a life that felt steady and ordinary. She used to wake early to pack lunches, braid her daughter's hair, and walk her son to the school bus under the same warm morning sun that now watched her struggle. But ordinary lives can shatter quietly. A factory closure, a husband lost to illness, medical bills that swallowed savings, and a rent increase that came without mercy had slowly pushed her toward the edge. By the time she found herself standing behind that diner in the middle of the day, the idea of pride had been replaced by something far heavier, the need to keep her children fed. She had skipped meals so often that hunger had become a dull companion, but the hollow look in her children's eyes the night before had driven her there. She did not ask for money. She did not beg loudly. She simply asked if there was any food that would be thrown away. The manager, a man named Victor Holden, was already having a bad day, though nothing in his life, compared to the quiet desperation standing before him. He wore authority like armor and impatience like a weapon, and the presence of a struggling woman near his workplace felt to him like an inconvenience rather than a human being. Under the harsh daylight, his temper flared. Instead of refusing politely or offering help, he let his frustration spill out in a way that would soon stain his conscience forever. His voice rose, his posture hardened, and his hands moved in anger. In a moment that shocked even the pigeons scattering nearby, he shoved Maribel backward, his grip rough and careless, sending her stumbling against the brick wall as her bag spilled open onto the ground. News of the incident traveled quickly through the community, carried by social media and word of mouth. By sunset, though the story began in daylight, donations were pouring into a local support fund the riders helped organize. Groceries, school supplies, and job leads followed. A community that had once looked away now leaned in. The diner's owners, horrified by their manager's actions, terminated Victor's employment and issued a public apology, but consequences alone could not heal what had been broken. What healed it was the response that followed. Over the next few weeks, still under bright daytime skies, the Iron Haven riders returned often, not for recognition but for follow-through. They helped Maribel secure temporary housing closer to her children's school. Naomi connected her with a daytime cleaning job that paid enough to begin rebuilding. Elias spent afternoons tutoring her son in math at the library, while other riders organized a fundraiser that turned into a community picnic, laughter replacing the tension that once hung over that street. Maribel's children began to smile again in the sunlight, their fear slowly loosening its grip. Victor, meanwhile, faced his own reckoning. Stripped of his position and forced to confront the footage of his actions, he began attending court-mandated counseling and community service. His days were no longer spent behind a desk, but cleaning parks and serving meals, often during the same daylight hours he once took for granted. Change did not come easily, and redemption was not guaranteed, but seeds were planted in uncomfortable soil. Sometimes accountability is the first step toward humanity. Maribel never sought revenge. What she wanted was stability, safety, and a chance to breathe without fear. Months later, she stood in a small apartment kitchen filled with afternoon light, cooking a simple meal while her children worked on homework at the table. The memory of that day behind the diner still ached, but it no longer defined her. She had learned that even when the world shows its worst face, there are still people willing to stand up, not with violence, but with presence and compassion. As this story comes close to its end, if it moved you, if it reminded you that kindness can arrive in unexpected forms and that standing up for others matters, please take a moment now to like, share, comment and subscribe to Light of Kindness. Your engagement helps spread these stories of hope further than you might imagine. Before the final moment, we have a special request for you. Please comment below with the words "I choose kindness" and share what this story made you feel. Your words may inspire someone else who is struggling silently. The sun continues to rise each day over that same street, illuminating the diner, the pavement, and the people who pass by. But something has changed. Where there was once fear and indifference, there is now awareness. Maribel walks with her head higher, her children's hands warm in hers. The Iron Haven riders continue their work, knowing they cannot fix the world, but they can answer it when it cries out. And somewhere in the light of an ordinary afternoon, a reminder remains that even in moments of cruelty, compassion can arrive. Engines quiet, hearts loud, and hope unbroken.